Singapore mathematics textbooks are designed based on the CPA approach. CPA approach is an approach that encourages teachers to allow students to begin all their learning, especially that of a new concept using concrete materials. So C for concrete, P for pictorial, and A for abstract. Using the CPA approach, students initially engage with concrete manipulative before they move on to pictorial representations in order to acquire and subsequently refine their understanding of abstract concepts. For example, in the learning of number bonds, students might be given cubes like this, and they would be asked to figure out how they might break a stick of 5 cubes into 2 parts. Some students might do this and figuring out that, 5 is 2 and 3. 2 and 3 make 5. Other students may do it differently. For example, some may break it into 2 parts such as this and saying that 5 is 1 and 4, 1 and 4 make 5. That's an example of the use of concrete material for students to eventually acquire an abstract concept. The concrete material used are the cubes, connecting cubes, and the abstract idea is the idea of number bonds where a number can be broken into 2 or more parts. In other topics such as fraction, students might use pieces of paper like that. For example, to figure out equal parts. So the teacher may ask them to share the piece of art paper among 4 friends and let them have some time to figure out different ways of doing it. Some students might discuss a method where the 4 friends all get the same shape, namely squares. Yet other students might do it differently. They might fold it in such a way that the 4 friends, each of them got a triangle. And because they have the concrete material, the solving of the problem becomes accessible even for struggling learners. This is an example how concrete materials, such as pieces of paper, are used for students to acquire an abstract concept, in this case, the concept of equal parts. When they do bar models, the teacher might want to begin with a concrete material, such as a paper strip, and through the manipulation of paper strip, students are able to represent different quantities or information in the word problem. For example, they might be solving a problem where a person baked a certain number of cookies and he gave away 1/4 or 1/4 of the cookies he baked. And we might use concrete materials such as paper strips like that to help students have a concrete way of figuring out how to use a bar model to represent information so that they can solve the problem. And there are many other such examples, such as the use of square tiles for them to learn the concept of area, where they are asked to make different shapes using, say, 4 square tiles. And they figure out that even though the shape look different, each of them cover the same amount of surface area and hence have the same area. So the concrete materials, the square tiles, they are used to help students learn the abstract idea, that of area. Likewise, when they are older and they need to learn the concept, the abstract concept of volume of a solid, they might use concrete materials such as cubes and build different structures and appreciate that the amount of space occupied by this solid is a certain amount and can be measured using unit cubes. Again, an abstract concept, volume of a solid, can be learned through the manipulation of concrete materials. In a CPA approach, students begin the learning of a new idea through the handling of concrete manipulatives. Afterwards, they represent their experience pictorially by drawing in their journals, perhaps, and this allows them to access abstract concept. The CPA approach is based on The Learning Theory by Jerome Bruner on representation. Bruner talks about enactive representation, a representation where students are able to act upon concrete objects, iconic representation, which essentially is pictorial representation, and symbolic representation, which is the abstract representation. This is a CPA approach that is used in Think Mathematics.